Happy Monday. Welcome to another edition of XFeed. My name is The Schiller. I've been talking about NFTs and all that kind of jazz for a while, trying to make it fun and entertaining for you. Yes, you personally. Hello. Imagine that we're hanging out, having a nice hot chocolate or something, just sitting together, having a discussion. That's one thing that I think that if it was possible to do, I really don't know how many people are into Web3 and NFTs, at least the specific ones that I would have takes on per se. Like, I was thinking the other day, right? You know, Denny's, right? Like a nice little breakfast over there. Typically open 24 hours, but you know, the world's in an interesting spot. So for whatever reason, it's not open 24 hours, the one that was previously. But I'm like, man, yeah, awesome would be once a week to get together with some friends, talk NFTs, and have some friggin' delicious pancakes. How amazing would that be? All right, so basically the entirety of the show is going over the meme coins that launched on the weekend. We'll have some bits of stuff that's in between, but if you were not awake on the weekend, oh my God, what happened? So last night, to try to recap, we're going to go through all of this. Bitcoin goes to like an all-time high. Everything starts sending. And then today, you wake up and like everything's down. Now, before that, there was coins listed and all that kind of jazz. We are going to get into it, but one thing right off the rip, guys, if you go check out the description down below in YouTube, or if you check out my bio on X, this is not me, this is Nicky G. He's from What Is This Studio, creating What Is This Sorcery, and it is a trading card game. They're having physicals, all that kind of jazz. That is our guest this week on the RWA Segments podcast. So if you've been out there and if you've been watching my Root Network videos and you've really enjoyed that, I've been working with the team over at Segment to create this entire series around RWA assets, people that are building within the space, and it's a podcast. So driving to work, any of that kind of jazz, would love for you guys to check that out, again, on YouTube in the description below, or if you go to my bio on X, we scroll over here, you see the LinkedIn tree, we're going over there, we're scrolling, and it is going to be right here, the RWA Segments podcast. You go into that, you can see the last one, we got the culinary, we got NFT predictions, we got deep in, we got a little bit of everything for everyone. Would love for you guys to check that out, and thank you so much for the support. Hoddle Hill, what an absolute legend in the building. All right, this is going to be a phenomenal stream. So one thing that we've seen within the Web3 space is the recognition of there is gaps to fill. Certain companies that have superpowers are lacking, right? When somebody's lacking, you know. So in Off the Grid, one of the big blockchain games that recently got a ton of attention, they are now doing an in-game skin for Scump. Now, if you don't know who Scump is, this is like a 20-time Call of Duty eSport world champion, mega streamer, arguably one of the biggest names within the space. So that's awesome that that's happening, first of all, but what's more interesting, I think, in a personal opinion, is Jacob Hale, who covers Call of Duty news, and obviously covering this in specific, says it's genuinely unbelievable that Call of Duty doesn't have a Scump skin. And remember, Call of Duty has skins for their various esports teams. They've done them for like Nicki Minaj and other celebrities, but somebody that came from their own game that is arguably one of the most recognized doesn't have one, but a brand new game. Obviously, they're trying to use them for marketing, probably giving them the big bucks, all that kind of stuff. Again, not questioning anything, just saying. I understand the concerns after their whole Nick and Tim fiasco, which there was a whole kind of political debate around some of the people they did do did do skins before, so I can see why they didn't. But again, Scump is, I don't know, likable guy. It doesn't really seem like a reason not to. Again, very long standing, but it should never have gotten as far because Scump should have been first. True. Roar, what is going on? Okay, so back in 2022, Financial Times made a tweet saying, remember Bitcoin, and look at just the absolute massive drop-off that it had. And it's interesting because some people you'll talk to within crypto are like, hey, you know, this is a buy signal. Other people are like, see, this thing is all just a load of dust. And it's going back and forth, but yeah, opportunities are abundant. Going back in history again, Jeebus here in August of 2021 saying, you work hard, go to school for 8 years, take on debt, find a wife, finally debt-free at 47. Me, find a Penguin NFTs, make a decade of your salary in 2 weeks. So this is probably earlier on when Pudgy Penguins went nuts, but obviously they had the big token drop and people that held those Pudgy Penguins doing pretty good. And it's weird because we see all these stories and we're just, scrolling on a social media app with a bunch of random people. Now, some people, as I'm alluding to, say crypto is a scam. And to be fair, I think a lot of things in life are a scam. And there was this guy who stayed at an Airbnb. This is a totally off-topic thing, but this is insane because Airbnb, one, is super expensive, but apparently they had some damage on a floor that they stayed at, right? So you rent an Airbnb, and then the owner hits up and says, yo, you damaged the floor. It costs us $7,500, presumably US, to fix. And you're like, well, what the hell am I going to do? I didn't do that. And you can go in the comments and they say, well, it's got to be like the maid or something else, but we didn't do that. 25.2 million views on this. Guys, what are people doing out there? Unbelievable. Okay, so the weekend. This was maybe the most ridiculous weekend we've ever seen. So Trump's account on Truth Socials starts promoting this meme coin. Now, apparently this was an hour before it really started circulating on X. People started putting out saying this is likely hacked. Other people saying we're max bidding. Oh my goodness, right? So here's a take. Adam Hollander, this has got to be a scam, right? Already at 1.4 billion market cap, which is nuts. Like that, zoom in. We are 100% living in a simulation. Ricky on Solana says, soul sending because of the Trump coin. This is what life is all about. Now, very quickly after, we end up actually hitting an all-time high for Solana, and we have all these people that are making different takes. So this is from Journey Crypto, and there's a lot of conversations around Journey Crypto because there was a huge ape hack that happened before for like multiple millions of dollars and seemed like eerily quiet around it. So there's questions. But anyway, he puts in this huge thread saying this is fake. This is like, don't touch all of this. And like Keyboard Monkey saying wildly irresponsible posts, speaking in absolutes, and obviously ended up deleting the post because he was inaccurate about that. But that goes to show people that are presumably about news sources and validating things. Sure, it's good to be cautious, but at the same time, you got to be super careful with how you word things. No, not a simulation. It's just a smart move from people really smart, and I think this will all end up being very good for crypto in general. So, Roar, if super interesting take. I think we've seen very mixed perspectives on this. And Ansem here is saying, I don't think people are understanding the implications of this. And we'll go through a numerous of other takes regarding it, but I generally agree. I think one take that we didn't see, or I didn't see on the timeline that I saved, was that apparently the president can't do something to enrich themselves financially. There's some specific verbiage, and we can go down the list of people saying, oh, Nancy Pelosi and other people in the Senate know these certain things about stocks, and they're, seemingly they know all the stuff behind the scenes. But let's just go and say that was the truth, is that these things needed to happen before the inauguration, which was today. So I'm like, okay, that kind of makes sense, I guess, but it's also really kind of stupid how they did it, or at least personally, I think it's a little bit weird. Now, to break for that for just a moment, yo, Mo Meta, what's going on? How are you, you beautiful bastard? XRP is the future. Yo, Mo Meta coming by as soon as XRP is mentioned. Insane. But this is a huge question. This is a very, very huge question, right? So we look at this and say, okay, so if a property, generally speaking right now, you have to spend your dollars within a currency, right? So whether it be Canadian dollars, because I'm Canadian, or US dollars. But what if things really, really start opening up? Now, at the beginning of the show, we mentioned the RWA Segments podcast, and today I actually recorded a session with the founder of Landshare, who's buying rental properties, and there's a whole lot of wild things with it, right? But the way they're speaking about things, and the times are completely changing, where what if somebody who's selling their home is like, you know what, I'm really excited about. You can even change what XRP is, changes to Bitcoin, changes to ETH, changes to Silo. True. If somebody is willing to take it in that form of currency, they will. And I think that's going to be probably the biggest shakeup that we'll see over the next coming years. Now, that's just a thought, but Orange is saying half the space is in euphoria and the other half is depressed. Why? Because there were some people that just bought the coin that came out and it ended up just continually sending, where other people weren't at their computer watching this. One thing I do not understand, and I would love to know why, is people sharing their wallets. Like when they come up big, on something like this. I'm seeing people post made like a couple 100,000. I'm like, why would you just post that online? Like, okay, maybe you're anonymous and all this, but I just feel like that's a really stupid thing to do overall. Now, crazy. Now we're getting into some of the crazy tweets from this because it went from like 1 billion to just going, right? If you bought the Trump meme coin 3 hours ago, and this was at midnight because it came out at like 8 or 9 p.m., so like 3 hours later, you've outperformed the S&P since 1980. And these are the things people are jumping online, they're seeing, and it's going to completely change the perspective of what they want to put their money into. And Kadeen saying, amazing how fast you all dumped your AI bags. I mean, it's not just AI. There was an unbelievable amount of everything getting dumped. If you look at NFTs as well, everything was down 5%, 20% in some cases. Suzuki Elementals, Beans getting walloped really, really hard as well. People were chasing things. And so it was a big liquidity suck, but it did kind of beg the question of like, all right, were people just chasing this thing? Is everybody really thinking this is a once-in-a-life opportunity? We'll get to more of that in just a second. Now, if you're a big brain and you have a little bit of extra capital, one thing I've seen more and more is anytime there's a token that gets really, really hot, people going to add liquidity to the pair. So Adam put in like $10,000 of liquidity, right? You do half in Trump, half in Solana, and they made like $1,000 in 12 minutes. That's how much volume was going through. And we've seen this a lot with other coins that just get listed, and people that are able to jump in on that LP seem to make a killing. It's something that maybe I should get into one day. But instead, we're here talking head saying, please subscribe to the channel, guys. If you are on YouTube, it's like $1.99. I said it's like the absolute cheapest thing. If you want to buy me a coffee, would appreciate the hell out of that. On Twitch as well. If you happen to have Amazon Prime, it's a free subscription to do so. Or I think it's like $5.99, or it depends if you're American or Canadian, because the conversion, you get the idea. But again, thank you so much to all the subscribers and people that are supporting the channel. Imagine spending hundreds of thousands of dollars in months seeking legal opinions, setting up an offshore foundation. This is speaking from like an NFT or crypto founder, an independent DAO, hiring external directors, etc., to launch a token in a compliant way. And then the president of the USA just launches an effing coin in America. So these are the implications that are happening, because when you go through all of these different steps, right, it's insane to think about just the amount of money that's going to go behind it, right? So legal opinions, expensive as hell. Offshore foundation. Admittedly, I have no idea, but imagine there's some kind of fee. An independent DAO. Well, you need to reach out and get people that are on board with that. I don't know if that necessarily costs anything, but again, you got to really organize that. Hiring external directors, again, that's a bunch of cash, and then launching the token, which again, you're going to have to pay the developers, everything else, and just money suck, all of it. And then bam, it seems like all those steps just are not needed. It's not needed, apparently. So Vitalik Buterin says, we are indeed currently in the process of large changes to the Ethereum Foundation leadership structure, which has been ongoing for close to a year. Some of this has already been executed on and made public, and some is still in progress. So amongst all this hysteria, it's really interesting to see that Vitalik's out here and they're looking at things for Ethereum. As I mentioned, occasionally, Bill Noble, if you type in Crypto Noble on YouTube, he is a very interesting individual that goes over crypto news. And one of the things that he specifically highlighted the other day was that there was an announcement from Solana looking like they were going to cut the supply, stop the staking yield, and try to have it more of like hard money in a way. And we're seeing all these changes around these foundations and things that are building on top of these different blockchains. And I think this, kind of like what's going on with Vitalik here, what I just previously mentioned for Solana, there's going to be a lot of shakeups in general, and I think it'll be very interesting. And of course, as we mentioned, Solana hitting the all-time high of 270 during some of this mania, and I think it's actually higher now. If we go to Solana, 244. Never mind. Oh, baby. It came flying back down. So we can see here in a day, it's down only like 3% apparently, but on the 7-day chart, it's up 33. Yeesh. Moving, and moving. CS Becker, if Trump is willing to do this, which is extreme, a Bitcoin reserve, no capital gains on cryptos, and special treatment for certain coins is extremely likely. Stock up and just hold. This is the super cycle. So amongst this, we have a lot of people that are seemingly very, very bullish. I don't know for certain. I want to say that the capital gains thing on crypto was mentioned at some presser a while back. Maybe it was the Bitcoin conference, and I think it was Nashville that happened a while ago. But a lot of conversations around these things seemingly spurring the market. We'll see if any of that happens. It seems like none of those were mentioned as of today for what we've seen. Benjamin Cowan saying, we thought the big narrative was going to be a strategic Bitcoin reserve, but instead we got meme coins. Great post on that. And then Vitalik. So we have the announcement around the Ethereum Foundation and his leadership changing. And then he's changing his profile picture to a milady to apparently remove the curse. I don't know. Kind of a weird move ultimately, but okay. Well, it can still happen in Bitcoin Reserve. Yes. Yeah, hold on. I'm like, what, sir? What, Vitalik, what do we do? I know we're Canadian, but what do we do, Mr. V? But the Bitcoin Reserve can definitely still happen, Roar. It's a really great take. I think that it's something that will happen at some point. Is it sooner? Is it later? What else gets added for that? I think the conversation, I think if we're going to take two main things, is the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve. And Bill Noble, again, has talked about how theoretically a whole bunch of states in the U.S. could be pushed into doing such. And that would be very interesting if that was the case. But ultimately, my thought, which is kind of a left field one maybe, is that the ETFs around Solana, XRP, there was like a meme coin ETF that was put together from some bigger player a while back. I'm forgetting off the top of my mind, but I think some of these funds, to make things more accessible to the average person, even though I know crypto can get onboarded, but we saw with the Bitcoin ETFs, it just, I don't know. I think that there'd be a lot of liquidity that get shoved into the space. So back to the XRP conversation for a moment. This was something that was highlighted a while ago from Paul Barron when they were talking, I think, with Aaron regarding Featureverse, and there was this gym vibe, and it was like athletic trainers through like VR and other things. I have no idea what the hell is going on with this. It feels like there's so many things that were getting highlighted and then seemingly like just doesn't get talked about again. So Lifelike Digital, from New Zealand, got a whole bunch of followers, and the last thing we heard from them was back in June of 2024, where they're sharing this thing of like Xbox, Meta, and Apple. I think they were highlighted on there. I want to say that Featureverse was involved as well. Is this still going on? Somebody let me know. Now, another thing is FlickPlay, which is a huge component. I thought Shara mentioned something around this as well. Haven't seen anything get connected, but very, very curious what we see in terms of big IP applications coming to the Web3 space as a whole. So Justin Trimble, having a little bit of a tremble, if you will. Are we about to see the tokenize everything era? So, relating to the conversation that I had this morning with Jason, I want to say his name is Jason. Oh, that's super bad that I forget what it is. I think it's Jason. And he was talking about real estate and the tokenization of it. And I'm like, this just seems super hard. And I'm somebody, again, like, I don't own a house. I've always been somebody that's rented. Maybe one day I'll own it, but I'm like, it feels like you got to go through all these paperworks. I feel like banks as well don't really love crypto. Maybe not all of them, but it seems like it'd be an absolute hassle to tokenize real estate. And not to spoil the episode or anything, but he's like, to be honest, like, it's not that hard once you have the framework set up. I'm like, okay, so it's all about the framework. So if you can take whatever asset, we'll bring, listen, we got a full screen, this one. We can bring back up the PSA 8 Marvel Masterpieces, 1994. You think I'd memorize that. But I bought this, again, $20. What to buy. That's like what it costs to grade these. But these things are getting tokenized. And more is getting tokenized. And I've asked a lot of people, is this where we're just going to see the tokenization of everything? Try to go and buy and sell some, right? Like if we're going to take this card and I want to sell it to somebody, I'm going to have to put it up on eBay. I'm going to have to find somebody that's specifically looking for that. You're going to have to deal with the shipping and handling and also wait a whole bunch of time between all of that, right? So maybe we have to do support with the people. Maybe we have to do refunds, all the shenanigans, and I got to go drive out to the mailbox. You guys seen outside the road's dangerous winter? I'm perfectly fine right here. Crew. If we can tokenize everything apart from food, and again, if you can tokenize like the feeling of eating food, whew, you got $1 million business for sure. But I think it's just going to naturally happen. And it's happening in like odd ways you probably wouldn't expect, but it's going to happen bigly. So G-Funk saying Wolf, Game, Solana, and ApeCoin sounds American to me. American to me. So all this talk about potentially crypto from the US having special advantages, tax implications of sorts. Haven't seen anything yet, but if that does happen, what does that mean for Canadians? That's my only question. That is my only question. Elio Trades, I just can't stop laughing, man. We really front ran this by 3 years with 100% confidence. Super cycle is real. Now, I would say, regardless of your thoughts regarding the whole meme coin situation, it's awesome that we have been in the space. There's a lot of things that we're like, damn, there's reasons for us to be here. The ease of certain things, the thought of just, people are going to want this in general. It's wild to think that we just stuck with it, and it's seemingly like that's a good idea. It was a good idea. Bored Ape Yacht Club saying locked in. And we have an ape on an island who's taking a... What's that thing in art when you have like your painting, but you put it on not a stool? I'm trying to think. You know what I mean? Like this looks like a paint holding device, but like turned into a broom because there's nothing on there. An easel. You're the best. You're the best. An easel. So we have Curtis with an easel, not a broom, making some sand here that's like a golf, right? This almost looks like golf going on here. We have a dog in the sky, which I want to assume is Gary, and a whole bunch of waves crashing around. Now, we highlighted a clip from Garga a while ago where he says, we're working with something with AI about an IP that we've already made and created, which Gary the dog would be. If you've ever played the Dookie Dash game, that was like one of the characters that was associated with it. I don't know. Does that mean that another token is coming for Bored Apes? Is that something we see with all these different major NFTs? Is it's not necessarily about anything but having these new coins, new connections? Does it make any difference? I don't know. But excited to see it nonetheless. Okay, so listen, people originally are fairly euphoric, and I would agree or say like, okay, I was, feeling pretty good too. Even though like the market was getting pushed back, there was a lot of people that were saying, okay, listen, the signal with this meme coin is that the harsh regulation, even for people that are trying to do all of the things right, is now open, and we're not going to have the restrictions that we did. And then this Melania Trump token drops, and the whole timeline in unison is saying WTF together. Bravo timeline. Because it just felt bad. I mean, listen, and I saw somebody else make a post, and it might have been Betty that was saying, like, if you take Mechaverse, and like a day later, after their huge mint, and they launched another collection, what would be the sentiment around it? And everybody would just what are we doing? What are we doing? So this happens. Everybody's confused. Turns out to be legit. Apparently, there's another token with a different family member today. And it's like, all right, is this turning the industry into a joke? Is this getting funding for something else? Like, what do we even think about this? What are we supposed to do, or how are we supposed to react? And Bo made a good post saying, Trump token was bullish because of exposure, but grifty and embarrassing. Agreed. Melania token is bearish and extremely embarrassing. I just want a president that gets the SEC to back off, pursues reasonable regulation, and stops the debanking. Very much agree. Very, very much agree. And then he shills Pengu, saying the strategic reserve for Pengu would be fine too. Fair enough. Fair enough. Continuing on, does this have implications for other celebrities? I mean, think of the Hawk Tua girl, right? Hawk Tua. She got absolutely lambasted on the timeline. Just people were fuming. Now, were they like actually fuming, or were they just like farming engagement? I'd probably say farming engagement for the most part, but Tristan Thompson here, big name in the NBA, saying crypto lives on Twitter. Platforms like Instagram and TikTok won't cut it. Follow trusted voices. List a couple of names to stay updated and understand the sentiment. Is this kind of a way that, celebrities in general feel a little bit more comfortable talking about crypto? Or do we have more of a stigma around it because of what has happened? That is the question. Stats saying on the one hand, this is all dumb. True. On the other hand, the most powerful person on the planet, and arguably the most powerful person in the world, has seen in a few decades, just launched a meme coin and wants prices to go up. Hard to know what to do in these once-in-a-lifetime markets. And really the focus on the last part here is the once-in-a-lifetime markets. I mean, so the story for people that like are not familiar with myself, what's going on, how we doing? Hope you're doing well. Phenomenal, phenomenal, phenomenal. But I found the space through NBA Top Shot. And the market went completely nuts. And I was like, damn, like this is fun. This is giving me an interest in passion. This is giving me an interest in something because, you know, at the time, this was back when like the world basically shut down and like I was playing Warzone with some friends, but I didn't really have like any hardcore interests per se. And I loved everything within the digital economy. You got to connect with so many people. And after college, the amount of people that like moved away from where I was, or you just don't really have the same contacts or people you stay in touch with. I was like, you know, I don't really have that like social group anymore, which is fine, right? You know, like I'm pretty like homebody in that way, but you also like sharing things with other people where you can. And Web3 was a way for me to do that. Now moving ahead and seeing everything that's transpired, I still very much think like this all feels like a once in a lifetime market. Sure, all right, Top Shot might have been like kind of like a niche bubble in a component, but I'm talking with people every single week, whether it's the RWA Segments podcast, whether it's doing the Root Network series that we've been doing, whether it's doing these streams and talking with you wonderful individuals here. It's like, damn, this really feels like it's something special. And the question is really like, how do you react to certain things? Are we supposed to be ultra bearish on good things, ultra bullish on other things? I don't know. Now, the final thing to mention amongst all this, and oh, sorry, Roar, I think we need more good actors in crypto. Most of crypto regular folks are bad actors, and until that changes, absurd things will continue to happen. I mean, I think that the problem with like, do I say life? It seems a bit extreme, but I would argue that most of the things you see on social media and whatnot right now are shock value and getting attention because it's something that's entertaining, even if it's not true. So sports networks as a whole are great examples of this, right? Shannon Sharp, Stephen A. Those guys have like some crazy takes about athletes, whatever else. 9 times out of 10, they wouldn't say anything to other people in person, but they say things because it gets clicks. And that's the way we've kind of run into things. And it's kind of unfortunate, but that's just the way it is. So I agree with you to a point, but it also feels like that's kind of just the way things are right now. So to go quickly back to last night at like literally 2 a.m., like I was up at 2 a.m. Like I was like, all right, I need to sleep. And then boom, a God candle hat. Like I'm watching this in real time. I don't know if I can zoom in on this. Okay. So how far can we go? Yeah. Okay. This is a good example. So I'm there, kind of scrolling on my phone, doing what I do. And I look and the chart is just sending. Like we're talking vertical 90 degrees straight up. And I'm like, oh my God, what's going on? So the whole timeline's like Bitcoin strategic reserves leaked, all this crazy stuff. Now nothing ends up happening and it completely tanks a little bit later, which is kind of hilarious to think about in general. And I don't know why I can't zoom out here. There we go. So we have mass euphoria into kind of nothing. And again, this is just like a first move. But nonetheless, it's making people talk about things. And I mean, we're here, we're going to be covering it, but that was a recap of what happened this weekend. Now, there's still a whole bunch more posts. We're going to get to it tomorrow. I want to try to keep the stream somewhat short and sweet and simple. We're about approaching the 30-minute mark. So thank you so much, Hodl. I appreciate being here and helping move the easel. You're the absolute best. Momed, if you're still here, what an absolute legend. And Roar, thank you for participating throughout the stream, giving out your thoughts. Much appreciated. Hope you guys have a phenomenal rest of your day, and we'll talk soon. Peace.